Demon Agreement, the fake history of fake histories. He turned his key in the lock, dropped the latch, headed straight for the kitchen. After pulling down the blind, he put the kettle on. Only a cup of tea, good strong tea, would do in this circumstance. He flicked on the light. It was sunny and bright outside, but he needed some serious privacy. Did not want anyone staring in. Did not want to be disturbed by anybody. He had lately had far too little privacy. Somehow, suddenly, he had moved from having a public profile to being public property, and that was not a good feeling. The media can do that to you. Yet it had started off so well. When he first self-published his book about a decade ago, after the slow start and after the big stunt, things had really happened. So maybe slagging off the leader of the free world was a cheap shot. But that particular POTUS had been such a mug that he had deserved it. There had been a bit of serious help deployed as well, but once he had offended the president, everyone wanted to know him. The reviews, the news sites, the podcasts had described the stunt as courageous, brave, heroic. He knew different. He knew it had been just a stunt, a cheap one at that, cheap in one sense at least. Nevertheless, though only a slim volume, Fake Histories did whatever passed for flying off the shelves back in those online purchase-driven days. Could a book fly off the screen? Could it download like cats and dogs? Come on, world, he had thought. We need someone making up some modern cliches here. Fake Histories made its mark on the world. Today's fake news is tomorrow's fake history, he had explained in the book's subtitle, but there was nothing fake about what happened to him in the decade since. He had gone in quick succession, from skint to mint, from backstreet to front page, from no-go to hit show. Once he had dismissed himself as a sad, skint, selfish, stupid, fat, ugly, bald old loner. Suddenly, seemingly from nowhere, there was a queue of interesting, intelligent, attractive women eager to show him just how much they did not agree with that assessment. And even a couple of men too, though he passed on them, and the web news loved it. They celebrated his life and his lifestyle. It had been an entertaining and exhausting time, and mercifully brief. Brief only because very soon after it had started, he had met the one. She had walked into a book signing looking almost unconcerned, almost, and looking exactly like the one he had always imagined and given up all hope of finding. She had it all. She had the hair, almost but not quite shoulder length, auburn and with the slightest hint of a wave. She had the height, 5 feet 6 3/4, not a sliver more. She had the voice. She was a trained singer as it happened. She had the grace, and dancer too. And she had the smile, electric, like shadows receding and transforming the greyest of grey days, like a flower opening into sunshine in a time-lapse film. She was the one. He tried to make sure she knew she was the one, but she already knew. He had hoped he could also be her one, even felt like he was, for a while. And so he settled down, even when settling down turned out not to be what the titles wanted of him. Settling down was just not what they had on their agenda. For a while they just ignored him, but increasingly in recent times they picked on him, they hounded him, they questioned his every action. It got him down, and it got her down more. With her, the old lines just did not work anymore. Trust me, I'm a celebrated author. Once she had loved the stories he wove, but she was no longer interested, no longer cared. Nothing shocks me, I'm a storyteller. For so long, she had hung on his words, listened like it matters as he explained the world to her and made her laugh out loud in her amazement. Now there was always something just a little more interesting, more tangible over his shoulder. I have a plan. Once she would have laughed and asked, "Is it a good plan?" He would have answered, "I only said it was a plan," and she would have giggled, then fallen into his arms and into his bed. Now, never again could he tell her these things. Never. Now, as he looked on the most beautiful, bored face he could imagine, it seemed to say she had decided. She had made her choice. She had ticked the box labelled none of the above. Was there no way back for him? There was one way. There was maybe one way. There was certainly no other way. It was underhand. It was the way that had worked once before. It was deceitful. But already he was dead in her water. If there was nothing left to spoil, then he would settle for empty trickery, since walking away of his own volition seemed beyond him. He drained his mug, picked it up, carried it the short distance to the sink, where he rinsed it quickly under the tap. All the while he stared at the tea bag he had left drying at the side of the sink, wondering idly how an old-fashioned fortune-teller would have worked her tricks with one of those. He stared at this lump of brown just a little too long, it seemed, for in a moment the whole kitchen, every corner, every last cranny was full of the simplest, purest evil. You can tell when that happens. It really is much more obvious than you would credit. Had he been more aware, he would have realised it was 10 years since he first had this sensation, since last he had it. 10 years to the day, to the minute, even to the moment. A rasping voice drew his attention.
Oi, come on, mate. What's going on here? Making me manifest just because you feel like it, just at the drop of a hat like this, is bad enough. But making me manifest through the medium of a tea bag, and a used one at that, well, it's hardly polite, is it? Hardly shows concern for my well-being, or respect for my status in the evil scheme of things. You'd better have something good to trade, my lad, or you're going to be so deep in it you won't have a clue which way is out.
He felt his brain racing. He felt protest welling up from every part of him, but he felt his jaw hang loose and useless. It was English breakfast, was all he managed to say.
I bet it wasn't pyramid-shaped, though, was it? Do they still make those? I could at least have made a bit of an entrance through a pyramid, if you hadn't already used it. Anyway, I'm here now, and at least you've had the decency to drop the blind so I'm not exposing myself to all that sunlight. What can I do you for?
He could hardly gaze upon the figure before him. He mumbled, "It's her."
Her? Her who?
Her. You know, her. The one. Screwing up its face even more, if that were possible for a demon, the figure said,
Oh, her. What's up with her?
I'm losing her. She's bored.
Well, it's what happens, isn't it? There's plenty more.
But he snapped back. I don't want plenty more. I want her. I want the one.
But she isn't even all that.
Yes, she is. He could hardly imagine where he was drawing his courage from to argue with the demon. So stop saying she isn't. Just sort it out for me if you can. Or banish me to some dark corner of your realm and leave me there if you can't.
Hey, now, hang on a minute.
If demons can be indignant, this one was.
Nobody's saying nothing about can't. Can't's just not a word where I'm from. I think you've just got a lot more options.
I keep telling you I have got no options. I just have this one big binary choice. It's either the one or it's zero.
Ooh, look at this one. The one big binary choice. It's either the one or it's the zero. Very metaphorical.
Scorn was not what he needed right now. Look, is there anything you can do for me, or are you just going to stand there taking the mickey?
Of course there's stuff I can do. There's no end to the stuff I can do. It's what I'm known for. The real question is, what am I going to get in return?
He stared down at his shoes. But you already have my soul.
Yes, and you spent that up ages ago. I think you probably owe me already. But don't worry. If you've got nothing tradable up your sleeve, then I'm going to have to come up with something, aren't I? Well, as it happens, you're in luck. I have got a proposition for you. Work with me on this one. Do me this one favour, and I'll write off all your debt to date and sort her out for you as well. Does that sound like a deal?
Could he afford to trust the demon? Could he afford not to? You knew you were going to do this all along, didn't you? You've just been playing with me.
Of course I was. I'm a demon, aren't I? That's what demons do. You mortals aren't half naive sometimes. Now, does this mean we've got a deal?
No, it doesn't. Not till you tell me what it is I've got to do, it doesn't. No.
Oh, dearie me. That sounds very much like you're trying to bargain with me. But I'm in a good mood, so fair enough. This is the crack.
Now, it is often assumed that demons' faces struggle to show human emotions, but it is generally agreed that they can grin. And this one was grinning fit to bust.
Remember that stunt we pulled with the old president, you and me, way back when we first collaborated?
Yes.
Well, he was a bit of a pushover, wasn't he? In fact, even that's overstating it. No pushing was required. As I remember it, all we had to do was just point him in a general direction, and he did the rest for us, all by himself.
True.
But this new one, much tougher cookie to crumble. However, I'm pretty sure that with your creative talents and my skills in, what should we say, presentation, we can reel her in as well.